the Age of Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening Friday. We replayed that really fabulous interview by our caller last Friday. I thought it was a really great interview. Thank you, Jules, for putting that on. I thought it was really absolutely great. Today is Monday, and I'm going to read some nuclear alerts. Hold on just one second. I think I'm getting a message. Hold on. No. Okay, so let me get back to what I was doing. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you about the nuclear alerts, but I want to really remind people to be proactive and do their own research because this morning, yesterday I read all the nuclear alerts, kind of sussed up how much time we had to figure out how much time I could talk and share information with you. And this morning I was digging around at the website going, okay, if somebody went to the website at the nrc.gov to look for these nuclear alerts, how easy is it? Because I typed in the Google's nuclear alerts, NRC alerts, and then I can scroll down and find the link. It is not the first link. You'd think it would be, but it is not. So I was messing around on the website, and this website is intentionally, just like the NRC, just like the nuclear cartel, intentionally complicated, and they, it's set up so that A, we can't find stuff, and B, so that they can look at us and say, don't worry your pretty little head about it. It's so complicated, you can't comprehend it. But then I was looking at something called document collections. That's, in fact, where you will find the nuclear alerts. It's on the NRC library. But then I looked at the Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste and Materials for the Congress. I'm going to back up. It says, Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste, Schedules and Agendas. Do you know that there in the 2000s, it stops at 2008. There has been nothing done since 2008. That, I am not kidding you, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Fukushima happened in 2011. And we have had the whip. And now we have St. Louis, the Westlake landfill, which I'm going to give you some information on because this Westlake is being summarily ignored. And that, they're giving us the usual lip service. We're doing everything. But there is a lot of information. Our Congress needs to wake up on that one. It could be a very serious issue for the entire planet. This is a grotesque malfeasance on the part of the nuclear industry. And for the EPA and the government to kind of wash their hands and say, well, we sold this stuff to somebody, it's not our problem, is unreasonable. And just like this, I am not kidding you, I am dumbfounded. I last updated December 30th, 2014. That's when it was last updated. So we have a website now. Maybe it just they haven't updated it correctly. Maybe there have been something since 14 to 15, but we've had some very serious problems. And why has there been no advisory committee on nuclear waste and materials? What is going on with that? There must be some other. I am hoping, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at the NRC, that there is some other agency handling this that has taken it over, that it has been merged. As a result of the merger, it says this site will serve as the source for historical information and for documents granted by the Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste and Materials during its existence. So this is going to be the site. It merged with some other committee. Anyways, can you tell my outrage, you guys? This is why I have no problem waking up and being on the radio live 3 times a week. Because I'm just a citizen. I'm a citizen journalist. You know, I'm a student. I own my own business. I've been in business almost 19 years now. I decided to go back to college so I could change careers. And in the meantime, we find out about Fukushima, and now it's like unpeeling an onion. It is off the charts. I'm going to check my sound, see how high the sound is. I think it's okay. So before I read to you about the information on the NRC website, I want to share with you information from the Westlake Landfill Facebook page. It's a public group. It's called Safe and Permanent Solutions. There is a page that someone has taken the time to give links, calendar events. There's going to be a public meeting on November 10th. That's like tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Panel on the Westlake Landfill at the Washington University. The panel will be Don Chapman, co-founder of Just Moms STL, administrator of Westlake Landfill Facebook group and community member, Mark Dietrich, director of emergency management for St. Louis County, Bill Otto, Missouri State Representative for District 70 and candidate for U.S. Congress. Oh, maybe he's a good person to ask about why are we not having oversight meetings. This is exactly what we need. Robin Daly, Spanish Village resident, moderator, Harvey Ferdman, local activist, community member, and policy advisor to State Representative Bill Otto. Policy advisor to state representative. So maybe that's a title we should all aspire to, right? We need to find a state representative and become their policy advisors. That way we could get this stuff straightened out. Then maybe we could force Congress to have hearings. 2008, folks. Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste and Materials. Schedules and agenda. Last activity, 2008. So now we're talking on Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste and Materials with the Congress. And then fast forward 2015, we have the Westlake landfill threatening and actually doing harm as we speak to the residents of St. Louis. Let me get back to this because this is a really great page. Please do go there, Westlake Landfill. Okay, public meeting and documentaries, November 10th, 7 p.m., Washington University on Tuesday. Wednesday, November 11th, 7 p.m., documentary, Safe Side of the Fence. So there's a good documentary for us to, maybe we can find it somewhere. Safe Side of the Fence, directed by Tony West. The film is free because SLU purchased all of the tickets. Thank you. St. Louis University. Okay, Thursday, November 12th, 2015, 7 p.m., panel discussion on Bridgeton and Westlake landfills. Where? Graphic Arts, that's the name of the place, I believe, 105 Progress Parkway, Maryland Heights, Missouri 63043. On the panel will be Don Chapman, Assistant Chief Matt McLavinci, others to be confirmed soon. Sponsored by the Parkway Pattonville Democratic Club. Sunday, November 15th, 2015, 12 p.m. documentary, The First Secret City, Tivoli Theater, St. Louis Film Festival. November 19th, 6:30 p.m., regional community meeting at Calvin Presbyterian Church. This is a big one, you guys. I was going to stop reading, but listen to this. Wednesday, December 9th, if you're in this area, make an effort to even drive there if you could. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, FUSRAP, F-U-S-R-A-P. There they go again with their stupid acronyms. FUSRAP public meeting on Coldwater Creek, 6 to 9 p.m. James J. Egan Center, number 1, James J. Egan Drive, Florissant, Missouri 63033. So I'm going to get to reading, you guys, but I think that that's very important for us to, anybody in that area, we must actually actively get engaged and attend these meetings, put pressure on these elected officials to have some integrity. I'm personally going to call my Congress, and I'm going to write the NRC today about this advisory committee on nuclear waste. No wonder we're all concocted up with the freaking waste in our country. They haven't been doing jack shit about it, as it turns out. Apparently. Quite apparently. So, anyways, I think it's really important. Before I go to the NRC alerts, you guys, and we're at 8:11, I'm going to start by 8:15. I wanted to share a poem with you by The Way of Life, Lao Tzu, again, translated by Witter Bynner. I picked it up randomly, and I found it, and it was so great, so I want to share it with you. It's number 129. It says, "Those who would take over the earth and shape it to their will never, I notice, succeed. The earth is like a vessel so sacred that the mere approach of the profane, it is marred, and when they reach out their fingers, it is gone. For a time in the world some force themselves ahead and some are left behind. For a time in the world some make a great noise and some are held silent. For a time in the world some are puffed fat and some are kept hungry. For a time in the world some push aboard and some are tipped out. At no time in the world will a man who is sane overreach himself, overspend himself, overrate himself." Wow, that's pretty awesome, isn't it, you guys? I thought that'd actually be a good way to start the reading. So let me get out of this. I'm going to close down this Facebook page. I wanted to read you that information, but, you know, Facebook makes noises. It's really bizarre. I haven't figured out how to stop all that stuff. Okay, so we last left off on November 2nd. You know, I always go through this, whether I should start at the beginning or the front, but I think I'll start at last week's on November 3rd. I'm going to double check the calendar. Yes, it will be November 3rd. And the first event is 51493. This is November 2nd to November 3rd, Louisiana Radiation Protection Division, Ville Platte Medical Center. I think we read this last week, if I recall right. Yeah, probably. Event date 10/16. Patient dosed with wrong organ uptake tag. Yeah, remember that? They had put in the wrong type of isotope into his organs. How good of them. Oops, a medical mistake. Sorry. There's a really great book to read. I read it probably, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years ago. It's called Death by Medicine, and I do not know the author, but the title is pretty direct, Death by Medicine. Next one, 51499, Louisiana Radiation Protection Division, QSA Global Inc. What was the date of this one? The date was 10/26, notification date 10/26. Density gauge potentially damaged during shipment. On 10/26, let's see, did we read that before? delivered a device containing radioactive material to their facility on Langley Drive, Baton Rouge. When the receipt surveys were being performed, they noticed that one point on the surface had a reading of 2 rems per hour at the surface. It appears that one or more of the pull ties used to secure the shutters on the device broke, causing a shift in the reading. Part of the bracing material minimized the shielding shift. The device in question is a Texas Nuclear Level Density Gauge Model 510 SNB1110 loaded with approximately 733 millicuries of cobalt-60 sealed source. The device was surveyed and moved to a bunker on the QSA Global site. Reenactments and calculations will be conducted. Okay, so let's move on. So we got Calvert Cliffs, Maryland, power reactor, event number 51510, notification date 11/2. This is a new event, you guys, at a power reactor. Loss Commission ASMT response. What's ASMT response? We'll have to see what these acronym means. Loss of radiation monitoring equipment due to planned maintenance. A planned modification of Calvert Cliffs nuclear power plant will remove the spent fuel pool area radiation monitoring system from service. Oh, wow. What? The planned out of service window is expected to be 7 weeks, beginning on 11/2 and ending 12/18/2015. Hope nothing happens, you guys. During this time, portable radiation monitors will be installed as compensatory measures to monitor and support timely and accurate EAL declarations. EAL, emergency alert. That's what that is. Affected emergency response organization personnel have been made aware of the compensatory measures. Okay, I guess, you know what? How long has this plant been open? This must be what they normally do. So I guess that's that. That's a trip. Okay, here, let's go to the 4th one. So November 4th to November, from November 3rd to November 4th, Louisiana Protection Radiation, they're still telling us about this non-emergency density gauge during shipment. Was there anything noticed? No, that's not even an update. 10/27, this was event date 6/18. No doubt we've read this, by Acuren Inspection, WIT Pipeline. And this is a non-emergency. Oh, I don't think we've read that. Attempted forced entry into radiography darkroom truck. On June 18th, 2015, at approximately 11:30 EDT, while parked at a Hawthorne Suites in Meridian, Connecticut. They're always at a hotel. Don't you guys notice that? That's weird. While parked at a Hawthorne Suites in Meridian, Connecticut, an attempted breach of a darkroom containing a Centennial Delta 800 device serial number D3582 with a model A424-9, Iridium-192 source serial 17586G, 100 curies of Iridium-192. Operator 1 and 2 were sitting on the back patio of the hotel when they heard the alarm chirp twice in a darkroom unit. They had a darkroom unit set up in a hotel. Wow. Operator 1 ran to the unit to make sure everything was okay. When he got to the side of the darkroom, he looked around the back and saw a black male standing on the bumper of Unit 1620, the truck, trying to break in with a screwdriver. Operator 1 yelled for Operator 2 that someone was trying to break into the darkroom. The burglar was scared off. Then the burglar came back to retrieve his budget rental van and sped off. The Meridian Police Department was immediately contacted and dispatched to the scene. Officer took all statements and the police report was filed. And the police report number is 15004841. Unit was checked to make sure that security of all locks and that the alarm system was still operable. Well, that's very interesting. At a hotel, they had a darkroom unit set up. Wow. Okay. Here we go. The next one, nuclear power plant Fitzpatrick, New York. Event number 51512. The event date was 9/22. The notification date was 11/3. So this must be an update. No, this is not an update. So I don't know if they've told us about this before. Potential uncontrolled radiation release. Secondary containment differential pressure exceeded technical specifications, allowed valve. On September 22, 2015, with James A. Fitzpatrick Nuclear Power Plant operating at 100% power, the Emergency and Plant Information Computer, EPIC, that's called EPIC. That's the acronym, you guys, EPIC. Emergency and Plant Information Computer, EPIC, indicated a spike in secondary containment differential pressure during performance of a surveillance test associated with automatic initiation of standby gas treatment system. Plant data systems recorded secondary containment differential pressure exceeding the technical specification allowed valve. The secondary containment differential pressure was at or above 0 inches of water for approximately 10 seconds, and then immediately trended negative following auto start of one of the trains of standby gas treatment. An operator was subsequently dispatched to the ventilation control panel and verified that the secondary containment differential pressure was more negative than the technical specification allowed value. Wow. So I wonder what that really means in real language, but it sure doesn't sound good. That was above 1 or 0 inches approximately of water for approximately 10 seconds. Gee whiz. We are super screwed, you guys. I'm going to tell you what. It's really sad what they've done to our planet. And check this out. Advisory Committee on Nuclear Waste and Materials, ACNW&M, schedules and agenda. 2008 was the last time they met. I have got to tell you what, I cannot get over that. Okay. This event has been retracted. Event date 9/28. Okay, so Prairie Island, Minnesota. Why did they retract it? We probably read about it. The evaluation was performed and it has been determined. This is why. Yeah, I remember reading this yesterday. Accident mitigation. This is the accident. Both Unit 1 emergency diesel generators inoperable at the same time. Remember that? An evaluation has been performed and it was determined that SV33133 and SV33134, and you know, these SVs, you know what that is, safety valve, right? So, okay, so do not have an active closed safety function. They do not have listen to this, they do not have an active closed safety function. The cooling water system analysis of record calculation ENGME 820 reference 0B shows that the cooling water system continues to have a flow margin with screen wash control valves open. Therefore, there is no need for the valves to close to ensure the cooling water system safety function. Because the valves do not have a safety function to close, this event was not an event or condition that could have prevented the fulfillment of a safety function of an SSC. So they placed an event that they just didn't understand the equipment. Okay, so it wasn't that bad, but that tells us that they don't even understand their own equipment. Like, really? If I'm reading that right, it sounds like they're saying, don't worry, we just misunderstood the equipment. Man, And people wonder why I cuss. I swear, this stuff really it's very difficult to maintain not cussing, I have to say. This is such complete bullshit. Okay, November 5th to November 6th. Emerson Process Management. Fisher Controls International. Event date was 9/2. Notification date 10/23. This was an update. Okay, so what did we have? So they had, this event was defects of noncompliance, construct efficiency, report closed switch not actuating when valve is fully closed. So they had a faulty piece of equipment that they had to report and send back. The purpose of this document is to correct an erroneous serial number. So that's what that is about. They just misreported the incorrect number. Next event number, Turkey Point, Florida, Power Reactor 51515. Event date 11/4. Notification date 11/5. Non-emergency. Unit 4 technical specification entry due to loss of Unit 3 startup transformer during Unit 3 outage. This is a non-emergency information-only notification to the NRCOC. Plant conditions are as follows. Unit 3 is defueled and Unit 4 is in mode 1 at 100% power. The Unit 3 startup transformer is inoperable due to pre-planned maintenance. The 3B emergency diesel generator became inoperable due to a loss of all 480 volts vital AC load centers on Unit 3. With Unit 4 in Mode 1, technical specification requires a 4-hour report to the NRC due to inoperability of one of 3 required EDGs on site, concurrent with inoperability of a required startup transformer. This report is for informational purposes only and is not required. Okay, so they're just letting us know that this place is totally closed down. The loss of Unit 3 load centers is still the loss. Okay, so check this out. Spent fuel cooling at Unit 3 remains available at 3BSFP cooling pump, which is powered from Unit 4. The loss of the Unit 3 480 AC load centers is still under investigation. The TS 3.8.1.1.c requires Unit 4 to exit the TS action statement in 2 hours or shut down. To exit this TS, no 2 battery charges may be powered from the same motor control center. The 480 volt vital AC load centers for Unit 3 must be restored since Unit 4 requires at least 1 train from Unit 3 480 V AC load centers. The licensee is in the process of performing those actions. So let's hope we don't see anything the next day that went wrong. The next one, 51516 from Fermi Nuclear Power Plant in Michigan. Non-emergency, lost, ASMT response. Integrated plant computer system removed from service. On November 5th at approximately 1:10 EST, 10 o'clock, 1,000. It says 1,000, but that's 10 EST. The Fermi 2 integrated plant computer system was removed from service for planned maintenance on the uninterruptible power supply. UPS, they call it UPS. Interruptible power supply. Is that what UPS is? Vital bus power supply. The safety parameter display system resides at the IPCS platform and will be out of service and unavailable to emergency response facilities during the same time the IPCS is removed from service. The IPCS, you guys, is the Integrated Plant Computer System. The data input, what does this say? The duration of work is expected to be approximately 48 hours. During this time, dose assessment capability will only be available in the manual data output mode. The majority of the control room indications remain available to the plant staff and will be used for emergency response if needed. Information will be communicated to the NRC during other available communication systems as needed. A follow-up notification will be submitted when the IPSC is completely restored, including SPDS, to the Operational Support Center, the Technical Support Center, and alternate facilities. The plant is currently in Mode 5 and will remain in Mode 5 for the duration of the IPSC and SPAD unavailability. This 8-hour non-emergency notification is being made per the requirements. So they had to knock the computer down for a couple hours so they could update it. And don't worry, in the event that something's gone wrong, they'll take care of it. Like they always do, right? Just like they always do. Okay, so then these are the last two reports. This was for today, November 9th. Let's see, we have Turkey Point, Florida, event number 51518. And that is in Turkey Point. Non-emergency off-site notification. Oh, this is interesting. Off-site notification due to deceased American crocodile. What does this mean? They're not telling us anything. The 4-hour non-emergency notification to the NRC is being made based on notification to other government agencies. They give us a whole slew of numbers. On November 6th at approximately 11:38 EST, notification of a deceased American crocodile discovered in the owner-controlled area was made to the state and federal agencies. The crocodile's death was not caused by facility operations. Really? Not caused by that. Well, what was it caused by? The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission were notified. You notice that's always the first thing they say. We didn't cause any death. Don't worry. Radiation is perfectly safe. Start eating it. In fact, feed it to your kids. Event number 51521 in Millstone, Connecticut. That's a nuclear power reactor. This event date was 11/8, so that was just yesterday. Non-emergency RPS actuation critical. Manual reactor trip due to reactor coolant pump oil leak. Oh, that's not an emergency. During power ascension following refueling outage, a decreasing oil level in the C reactor coolant pump was noted. When the oil level reached 69%, with the reactor at approximately 56% rated thermal power per plant procedure, a rapid down power was initiated, which brought the plant to approximately 15%, and a manual reactor trip was initiated at that point. The reactor trip was uncomplicated, and all plant equipment responded as expected. So they had to lower it down. Wow. That was pretty interesting. I wonder what's going to happen with that. An oil leak. You know, that is the thing here, you guys. Like, let's mess around together. We have a few minutes. I think I went through that with the Westlake landfill. I hope I gave you enough information on the Westlake landfill. Please find them on Facebook. It's a very important issue right now because it is, they're doing the shuffle, the shuck and shuffle. They're not really taking care of anything. I mean, they're giving a lot of lip service, but the reason is they do not want to be responsible. That's the issue. They are not going to be responsible, like no matter what. So that means that they are not going to. They're just not going to be proactive, and they're not going to say to people who's in the community, yeah, I think this radiation might have caused your children to have these genetic birth defects, these weird rare diseases, and all these things that have happened to you. Or maybe that's the reason why we have so much cancer or a high level of heart attacks is because we've had this nuclear waste sitting here for all these 50 years. That conversation is not going to happen, folks. It is not going to happen. The people that we are paying with our elected dollars, with our tax dollars. I mean, to be honest, this is a real issue for me because, I work in the tax industry. I help people with tax problems. I'm an enrolled agent. I'm a tax professional, and I help people negotiate who have big debt. Like, God, my average client owes, I would say, $40,000, $50,000. Some of them owe hundreds of thousands. You know, we work through it. It comes and goes. We work through this process. I have a trust in the system, like the quote tax system. I know there's a lot of people that hate taxes and they think it's bad, but you know, we can't drown the baby in the bathwater. What we have is a responsibility, I believe, as a people to actually engage in our government and demand like this. The NRC has had no hearing since 2008 on nuclear waste with Congress. If that's true, I mean, I know we had Senator Barbara Boxer talking about it. I've seen David Vitter talk about in general ideas, but they're still talking general. They're referring back to old. This is why in those hearings they referred back to the reports, previous reports. I remember hearing that all the time. All the previous reports, blah, blah, blah. That means they've made no progress. We've invested no money. Congress has given no money to fix this. And this is a very, you know, like this is a shock. I'll be really frank with you to watch just the fact that there are really have been nothing. There's nothing. I'm looking around here on their webpage, and it is extremely difficult to like, just typical to the nuclear industry. They cannot get their head out of their asses, to be honest. I'm just livid about this. You know, we have these, let me go here to the public documents for public comment, because this is something that we really need to get engaged in, is this, we still, and if you have not done it yet, please do, the linear no threshold model standard for protection against radiation. And that is coming up. Close period date is 11/19. We have 10 more days left. And I actually do think I'm going to figure out how to create some kind of a petition and walk around my neighborhood and see if I can get some, you know, conversation on this going in my own neighborhood, because this is something that's very threatening. You know, I brought in this book that I'm reading. Many of you, I don't know if many of you know about this book, but it's called Poison Power. I'm reading it on my YouTube channel. It's by Dr. John Goffman and Arthur Tamplin. And it is basically, the subtitle of the book is called The Case Against Nuclear Power Plants. And this particular book was written in 1971. Dr. John Goffman and Dr. Arthur Tamplin wrote this book. And these are the scientists who really studied the effects of radiation and said, we should definitely not be putting in nuclear power plants. They outlined everything that is happening today, including the Westlake landfill. You guys. They predicted all of these things, the rise in cancer. Now, when they tell us that for every 2 rads of radiation in the air, they're talking, actually, think of this. It's cumulative. It's every year we're getting this, 2 rads of radiation per year. These things are run per year. So we've had 70 years of this. 32,000 cancers for every 2 rads. 225,000 children for every 2 rads. They know that we're going to have 225 and these numbers are very, very low. Now, how is it that we have an entire population who has just turned a blind eye and gone blank, so that we go here? I mean, we know we have Hanford happening, where people in that community are financially tied. They are financially tied to the nuclear industry. So of course that they are going to be the ones who, you know, want nuclear power, because that's their paycheck. That's their bread and butter. You know, I've talked to Mimi Gurman, and she has gone up there, and I have been encouraged to go up to Hanford. I live in Eugene, Oregon. Hanford, I think, is about 2.5, 3 hours away from me, maybe 3.5. Frankly, I'm not interested in going to Hanford. I don't want to go to a place where I know it's radiated. Like, That just doesn't, I mean, I know I'm an activist. I know I hate the nuclear power industry, but I just think that that's like asking me to walk into like a toxic stew. Just go dump your, like that girl that is on YouTube. There's a girl who's running around Pripyat in Russia, swimming in the oceans and eating the fish and going through the Chernobyl and breathing the air and saying, see, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. We're happy. We're having a great time here. And frankly, I wrote her one time and said, so are you going to do the same thing when you have to start putting yourself through the hospital? Are you going to tell us what a great time it is getting cancer? So, this is the thing. Let me read to you. I wanted to read to you how it is, the justification that we get. Okay? This is from this book, Poison Power. And let me see if I found the right, I think I have the right. This is so incredible when I read it. I couldn't believe it. I'm reading this book on my YouTube channel, Nuts for Art, and I'm doing it for one of my subs. He says he can't read. He's disabled. Frankly, he was exposed to radiation in a nuclear power plant when he was younger. And so he just is weak, and we think it's from that exposure. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to start reading this book, and it's the second book I've read, but the information is completely shocking. President Eisenhower, duly disturbed over these controversies and hoped of ameliorating the situation in the atomic energy field, established a new agency, the Federal Radiation Council. This agency was to review the evidence concerning radiation hazards and to provide guidance for the nation concerning what exposure might be regarded as permissible in association with further developments in the atomic energy field. Permissible, folks. We're not talking about safe. There is no safe radiation. Permissible means how many people are we going to say could die and get cancer? How many birth defects are we willing to accept in exchange for nuclear power? That's what permissible means. It is the same Federal Radiation Council which finally set the 0.17 rads as a legally permissible average annual radiation exposure for the U.S. population associated with the peaceful rise of the atom, such as nuclear electricity generation. And here is where the fine print must be carefully examined. In setting this permissible limit of 0.17 rads per year, the Federal Radiation Council did not say that this radiation dose was expected to be safe. Far from it. What they said, in effect, was that they hoped the benefits to be received from peaceful uses of the atom would outweigh the risks associated with their permissible dose to the population. A reasonable person, having studied this fine print qualification, might want to know how the Federal Radiation Council had performed the benefit evaluation and the risk evaluation, both so essential in reaching the hopeful conclusion that the benefits outweigh the risk. But alas, listen to this, folks, nowhere is there any evidence that this critical part of the task was even attempted by the Federal Radiation Council. Do you get that? Nowhere was it even attempted. They didn't even try it. It's just a random number that they decided. Just a random number. These rats. The Federal Radiation Council can deny all culpability, for they say they were suggesting, read this again. The Federal Radiation Council can deny all culpability, for all they were suggesting was the hope that the benefits would outweigh the risks. The Atomic Energy Commission cannot escape justifiable criticism and condemnation, for they have endeavored and still endeavor to create the impression that permissible radiation exposure means safe radiation exposure. As a result, utility company officials make countless public statements and written pronouncements to the effect that 0.17 rads would be without harm to the individuals receiving this amount of radiation. That is exactly what we are up against still to this day, folks. That's why I wanted to read that. This is exactly what we're still dealing with. Talk to any scientists, talk to any elected official. What do they tell us? Oh, the government has decided. We learned long ago what was safe, what was a safe dose. No, we didn't. In fact, there's an article that I pulled up for a scientific study at school, and I don't have it handy, but I sure will dig it out. It was done in 2013, and it was basically a group of 6 or 7 scientists. Let me see if I can find it while I talk. It was a group of 6 or 7 scientists who had been studying. They wanted to get the scientific evidence because the United States has kept saying that, we know that radiation is safe. So they wanted to see the scientific evidence of the studies that were done. And what they actually found out, and that's what this article discovered, is that there really is no evidence. These were 6 scientists, and they studied. They said they could not find any evidence whatsoever that the United States, there was very little evidence of actual scientific studies done by the United States government. I mean, it is completely a shock. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Radiation Safety Standards 2014. Let me see if I can open that up. See what that says. Anyways, this is why it's very important for us to understand that it is important for us to educate our elected officials. Many of them have been unknowingly psychologically brainwashed. They really did not get it. They really do not have a concept that when they say that nuclear radiation is safe, that they do not know what they're talking about. They think they trust 100% the nuclear industry. And this is partly why, this whole thing with Dana Durnford, this is why, like Jay Collin, I'm hoping that Dana Durnford will still be able to be interviewed on our radio show on Wednesday. I had scheduled him a month ago. I don't know. I have about 10 minutes. Let me get into this with Dana. I don't know how many of you know about Dana Durnford. He runs a website called thenuclearproctologist.org. And he has been reporting on Fukushima, doing YouTube videos for quite a long time. And at some point, sometime last year, he got it up into his head that if they're not going to test our water and they're not going to go look on the coast, he lives in British Columbia. So they got together, they crowdsourced a bunch of people to get a boat together. It's been a very expensive process for them. He's gone up. The original idea was to go up, he's handicapped. The original idea was for him to go up the coast and document things with a couple of his friends. After the first expedition, I don't know the details of why, but I think it just got to be too expensive and too hard to go up with several people. So Dana just decided to go do it with himself and his dog. And because he's handicapped, there are limitations. Like he had this idea that he could document the number of species and really create scientific journals. Well, it's hard enough to manage a boat on your own, but he did get lots of documentation, lots of video, pictures that are stunningly shocking. It's almost like watching the children of Biafra in Africa, the starving children, because he took his underwater camera, went up the coast, and it is barren up there compared to what it's supposed to be. He was an underwater diver, had multitudes and multitudes of pictures. He had tons of experience, understood that entire landscape. And when he came back, his website, you can find pictures of the before and after, and it is actually really shocking. You can see the difference, that the radiation from Fukushima is definitely killing the West Coast. And it's not just the global warming. We are not, in fact, the scientists will tell you they specifically do not test for radiation. Ken Buesler and Jay Cullen are the only people that are out there saying, send us your water, which is really, it makes people angry. Send us your water. If you want to test for radiation, it's not the water you test the animals and the plant life because it bioaccumulates. As John Goffman said in this Poison Power, the problem with radiation is that it bioaccumulates. It's a lot safer to drink a gallon of contaminated water than to eat a single fish from the same swimming around in that water because of how these animals live in the water. A fish needs potassium. Cesium-137 is from that family of isotopes. So a fish views cesium-137, 134 exactly as it does potassium. And when a fish is swimming around in water because there's very low potassium levels, when it swims around, it magnifies the potassium in the water by 1,000 times. 1,000 times. So that it can live and prosper inside this water with very low potassium rates. Well, what happens in a radiated level of contamination is the fish swims around and it magnifies the cesium 137, 134 exactly like it does potassium. So guess what? You're eating a fish, even though it's swimming around in water with very low levels of radiation, it magnifies it 1,000 times. And then the next animal, and every animal bioaccumulates in a different rate, in a different way. And it is outrageous. It is an outrage that Jay Cullen and Ken Buesler are out there saying, oh, there's the ocean, don't worry, these people are being hysterical. No, we're not. Because we deal with science, real science. Poison Power, John Goffman and Dr. Arthur Tamplin, they actually really studied this stuff. John Goffman gave a talk in 1992 called The Biomedical Unknowledge and Nuclear Pollution, a Common Sense Proposal. This is such a great article. I'm going to read. I know we only have 5 or 10 minutes, but I think I'm going to take some time to read this article here and there throughout every Monday. I think I'll cut out 10 or 15 minutes. Biomedical unknowledge. What do we mean by this term? This is John Goffman in 1992. During my lifetime in biomedical research, one major conclusion I've reached that is very hard to prove anything is that it is very hard to prove anything about anything. There are sampling errors, confounding variables, necessary equipment not yet invented. The path to understanding is only darkly lit. The stones which are strewn along the way are numerous, and sometimes they are first seen when we stumble over them. Acquiring truth about health and biology is difficult at best, and acquiring falsehoods about health and biology seem to be inordinately easy. Just consider the legions of peer-reviewed professional journals which have carried, quote, evidence, unquote, favoring various pharmaceutical, dietary, surgical, and physical therapies for almost every problem, and the number of disappointments when the initial glowing reports are undermined by subsequent reports suggesting no health benefits at all. It happens again and again. Biomedical unknowledge is an abbreviation for all the findings which are the opposite of what is true about health and disease. An eager market for unknowledge. This is a great article. At a younger age, I would have assured no one wants biomedical unknowledge, but experience suggests that there is a market eager for medical unknowledge in the field of health consequences from various pollutants. They are financially and politically powerful interests who assume they have a lot to lose if research finds that their pollutants are deadly, and sometimes their assumptions is even correct. Durable and dangerous. Biomedical unknowledge is especially durable and hence supremely dangerous for humanity. Whenever the opportunities for generation of real knowledge are few, in the study of ionizing radiation and its production of cancer, thyroid disease, in utero injury to mental function, and inheritable genetic diseases. The occasions for obtaining valid epidemiologic data from human exposures are fortunately few and far between. Two outstanding examples are the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 and the nuclear power accident at Chernobyl in 1986. If these radiation databases are mishandled, the result can be 100 or more years of so-called textbook wisdom, which is nothing more than unknowledge. Number two, a wish list versus a warning. Nuclear energy and the peaceful or the military atom represents a dearly beloved project of governments in the United States, Britain, Russia, France, Germany, and Japan. Also India, China, Pakistan, Iran, and other nations. Nuclear energy is fiercely defended by governments, even as the parties in office change. They recognize that their fierce defense is not aided if the public considers radiation to be harmful even at low doses. It is fair to surmise that nuclear promoters have a wish list for the outcome of radiation research, which includes the following findings. The wish list. Number one, best of all would be a finding that a little extra radiation improves human health. That's what they are trying to do right now, folks. This speculation has a name, radiation hormesis. Some of the most avid proponents are already writing about the need to treat society in general for radiation deficiency disease. That was written when, you guys? This is 1992. Here we are, fast forward. Okay, we have 4 minutes left. I'm going to keep going. 2 minutes left. Actually, okay. In case hormesis cannot be sold to the public, which hopefully it can't, the next best outcome would be evidence supporting a threshold dose of radiation below which no harm at all occurs. The safe dose, no risk claim has become exceedingly common after the Chernobyl accident. For example, the Department of Energy, in its 1987 report on the probable health consequences from Chernobyl, experiments with its zero-risk model. The report states that if all radiation doses below a half a rad are harmless, then Chernobyl creates zero risk for some 500 million people exposed by its fallout. When an abbreviated version of this report received worldwide distribution in December 1988 via the peer-reviewed journal Science, the assertion that Chernobyl may induce zero extra cancers was repeated 10 times in 6 pages. The pages included no mention of the powerful evidence and logic which argue against the paper's threshold speculation. Well, I'm going to stop here, you guys. We have half a minute left. Thank you for joining us on the Age of Fission radio show. Please do go to the Westlake Landfill Facebook page, find some information out. Also, please make sure you make your comments at the nrc.gov website. Just type in the Googles NRC public comments and you can pull up the page. And we really appreciate you listening. Hopefully Dana Durnford will be here on Wednesday and explaining his case, what's happened. I think I lagged off there, but we'll let him explain everything, and we'll talk to you soon, you guys. Put your courage feet on. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. I don't hear the bumper music, so I don't know what happened. So if I have time here, I'm going to talk about Dana. Dana got arrested, and he is under orders not to talk about Jay Cullen and the other guy. What's his name? I always forget his name. Jay Cullen and, I don't know, from Woods Hole area. And he will be here with us, and he has not threatened anybody, but he has been arrested for that. And so we are putting our support behind Dana, and hopefully he'll be here Wednesday speaking with us. Let me